The Nueces County Democratic Party welcomed Lupe Valdez back to Corpus Christi today. She is the Democratic nominee for Texas governor in the 2018 election. The American law enforcement official served as sheriff of Dallas County from 2005 to last year. And today's campaign visit included a barbacoa brunch where Valdez discussed that if she is elected, she wants to focus on health care and education.
People just want to be heard and want a governor who is willing to listen to them and be able to identify with what they're going through. The kitchen table issues that keep people up at night are no longer being heard in Austin. We need to have the everyday Texans' concerns be heard.
Valdez and incumbent Greg Abbott will go head-to-head in this year's election on November 6th.